you. Good evening, I'm Ben Darley, and when I was 7, I learned how to rhyme. So naturally, I wrote a book of poems. I have with me here today, remarkably, the master copy. This is the book of poems by Ben, future stage name Ben Darley. It's freshly bound, but the book inside is written in 1992, older than some of your mistresses. And I'm only going to read one of these today because I've recently decided to write some adult sequels to the original poems. So I'm going to read one old poem and then 3 brand new ones. This one from when I was 7 is called Monsters. Monsters are gutty. Some are gooey too. You would not like to meet the philosopher Boo. Some monsters throw gut balls that are headed your way. You would not like to meet the philosopher Highguffin Tootay. Thank you. So that's the 1992 Monsters, and here's the 4-day-old sequel on its stage debut. It's called Monsters Incognito. Some monsters have zigzag fangs. Some have toenails weird and spindly. Some drip snot from 5 eyeballs, and some are Myra Hindley. Some shapeshift from Godzilla to the HMV dog Nipper, while some are never caught, like Duke of York or Jack the Ripper. One hides beneath you sleeping, plugging nostrils, the bed and nose pest. Some bury kids in gardens, that's the dreaded Fred and Rose West. Some monsters aren't real monsters, Quasimodo, Elephant Man. Some monsters revere real ones, a Charles or Marilyn Manson fan. Jeffrey Dahmer preferred human flesh to chips and Venus Schnitzel. But for an appetite for incest, meet my good friend, Joseph Fritzl. You think the NHS saves lives? You'd better get a grip, man. To thrive from cradle to grave, avoid Lucy Letby, Harold Shipman. Ed Gein inspired Norman Bates, Leatherface, Buffalo Bill. Some fucking monsters picked my name last when asked, marry, fuck or kill. Yes, to qualify as monstrous, you needn't be a serial killer. You ought simply look no further than the monster in the mirror. Ooh, thank you, nice reaction. Cheers. The next poem I have for you is 40 hours old. And this is its 2nd stage performance. It's half compiled and half composed, comprising of a list of funny wrong answers that teenagers had written in real history exams, and this list did the rounds when the internet was in its infancy. So I've taken a little bit of creative license to poetize it and present it to you chronologically. This is Blunders of historic proportion. Let's start at the very beginning with human family number 1. In Guinness's, Adam and Eve were birthed from an apple tree. Cain asked, am I my brother's son? Now, these are all written by students and not by professional comedians. Moses made unleavened bread. That's bread with no ingredients. They got these wrong despite the time and classes they were occupying. Solomon, one of David's sons, had 500 wives and yet more porcupines. The Greeks also had myths, a myth's a female moth, and Socrates died from overdose of wedlock. Caesar extinguished himself on Gaul's battlefields where he proved ruthless. The Ides of March murdered him, and as he died, he gasped out, "Tee-hee, Brutus!" Nero was a cruel tyrannosaur who tortured plebs by fiddling, palaver. In the Olympic Games, Greeks ran races, hurled the biscuits through the Java. Joan of Arc was canonised by George Bernard Matthews, then burnt to a stake. What the heck? Black Death victims wrote many nursery rhymes, then grew boobs on their necks. William Tell shot an apple through an arrow while standing on his son's head. John Milton wrote Paradise Lost, then Paradise Regained, once his wife was dead. Elizabeth the Virgin exposed herself before troops, so they shouted, hurrah! And then her navy defeated the Spanish armadillo, while Walter Raleigh invented cigars. Francis Drake was a renowned pirate and a total failure phobe. With a 100-foot clipper, he went and circumcised the globe. Shakespeare was born on his birthday. These are funnier if you can dissect them, please. He only got famous because of his plays. He wrote tragedies, comedies, hysterectomies. Romeo and Juliet in Islamic pentameter are an example of an heroic couplet. Romeo's last wish was to come back to life so that he could get laid again by Miss Catapult. For fans of 1620s Pilgrim Settlement, this next punchline is gorgeous. Many people died, many babies were born. Captain John Smith's responsible for all of this. Gravity was invented by Sir Isaac Asimov. If you think that's daft, hold breath, please. It is chiefly noticeable in the autumn when the apples are falling off trees. Bach wrote much music and had many kids. No wonder he was ecstatic. In between, he practiced on an old spinster, which he kept up in the attic. Tchaikovsky was the most famous composer in the world! And so was Handel at that. Handel was half German, half Italian, and half English. He was very fat. Abe Lincoln's mother died in infancy, and you need to understand he was born in a dog cabin, which he built with his own 2 hands. While president, Lincoln wore only a silk hat of renowned length. He's still best known for saying, "Friends in onion, there is strength." In April 1865, Lincoln got shot in his theatre chair. The assassin was actor John Wilkes Booth. This ruined Booth's career. Madman Curry invented the radio. Louis Pasteur cursed rabbis again. Cyrus McCormick invented the McCormick Raper, which did the work of 100 men. Karl Marx became a Marx brother. And if you think that guy's full of feces, Charles Darwin was a naturist who wrote The Orgasm of the Species. The Great War was caused by a surfer who assigned the hungry ostrich archduck. The Queen died. This ushered a new era in the anus of history. I mean, really, what the fuck? The Queen died last year and is still dead. This event ended her reign. Now, the final line. When you're born, they must sever the urinal cord. Okay, so that last dumb exam answer was mine. Thank you. I have one more poem. This poem is 10 hours old. It's called And. A woman recently asked me, "Hey, Bendali, what's the greatest number of times you can use the same word in a row in a single sentence?" Without hesitating, I processed every plausible permutation of sentences achievable within the English language and independently deduced what I have since verified. That if a herd of American bison from a city in New York State were to bully another herd of American bison from the same city in New York State, who just so happened, in turn, to bully yet another herd of American bison from that very same city in New York State, then that would give me something pretty nifty. 8, said I. Go on, said she. Said I. Buffalo, 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 buffalo. No, 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 said she. I only had 5. Go on, said I. I was walking past my local last week, the Barge and Grain, and saw a workman renailing the sign above the door. I stopped and looked for a moment and then told him, "Mate, there's inconsistent spacing between barge and grain," said she. I win by 3, said I. But it got me thinking about a conversation I had with my friends and family down the pub the previous week. There I was, with Daniel, Nadine, Andrew, Natalie, and my pops and grandma. We got up to leave and I observed that the 6 of them were all the exact same height. So, they stood back to back to back to back to back to back to back in a hexagon, and we placed a conveniently abandoned 30-inch pizza box over their heads. It lay flat. Well, that settles it, said I. There is less than a centimetre between Dan and Nat and Dan and Nad and Dan and Andy and Dan and Dad and Dad and Nan and Nat and Nad and Nat and Andy and Nat and Dad and Nat and Nan and Nad and Andy and Nad and Dad and Nad and Nan and Andy and Dad and Andy and Nan and Dad and Nan. Whatever. Harmonised they. Thank you, I'm Ben Darley.